Good day. I have with me Wandile Sihlobo of Agribiz, and we're talking oil and bread prices. Wandile, it is in light of what is happening now worldwide. Oil prices are going sky high, even bread. Um, uh, and let's talk about the why. Can you explain maybe to our viewers why that is happening?
I think it's two things. It's like, firstly, on the oil side, I mean, oil prices were already slightly elevated than some of the recent levels that we had seen in the past couple of years. For example, uh, uh, throughout COVID, there were supply constraints in Saudi Arabia. There were also a lot of incidences across the Middle East, indeed, that was constraining the supplies on the Brent crude production, and that had supported oil prices to an extent. But also, as the economies opened up from the pandemic and people starting to drive more, the demand for oil rising and the firms opening up, you had that situation. But of course, the recent geopolitics out of Russia-Ukraine invasion, with Russia being a major player in the oil market, added onto that environment, which is why, for example, right now in South Africa, we have fuel prices already at record levels. And if you look at the forecast for the coming month, which is the month of April, on the 6th of April, which is on a Wednesday, we will see further increases of just over 2 rand per liter on diesel. On petrol, we will see further price increases of over 100 of over 1 rand 50 per liter. So all of that putting us to a new high in as far as the increases of those products. But then, Isaac, I think you move that conversation from fuel to food prices in general. South Africa transport a large part of its products by road. We have, for example, on grain-related products, which includes your wheat, about 75% of our grains transported by road. So those increases over time, they filter through to what we end up paying at a retail level, which is what I think we are seeing now starting to creep in on inflation price indexes. And later on in the coming months, that's where it will come up much more clearly about how much of those increases are emanating from the fuel and the other rising input costs.
One dealing, talking about the cooking oil, it's not going to affect the price so much, but there is light in the tunnel in the sense of a bigger harvest for sunflower, which will uh, alleviate fears for a shortage. Am I right about that?
100%. I mean, this year in South Africa, we are having the second biggest sunflower harvest in the history of this country, just over 900 1,000 tons of sunflower that will be harvested. That does assist us a great deal because we are at a point now where you look at the vegetable oils basket, where you have sunflower oil, palm oil. We're seeing those prices rising at a faster pace in the past couple of months. And South Africa imports nearly 500,000 tons of palm oil for our human consumption and some industrial use. Now, this increase in a domestic sunflower oil production, which indeed is over 30% increase compared to what we produced in the last year, it helps us in filling up that gap. So yes, we don't foresee a shortage in as far as the volumes with everything that is happening in Ukraine, a major producer of sunflower oil facing the war and constraints then in production and exports. But we don't think that we'll have a shortage because of that supply. But in as far as the prices, though, Isaac, it's a different conversation because there's price adjustments just because of the commodity itself, but also price adjustments that emanate from fuel and labor costs and the other input costs that are needed in the processing space. And I think that's the understanding and appreciation of all of those costs that ends up giving us the increase that we see at the final level of the product. But Isaac, I would be quick to say that food prices in South Africa, while seemingly increasing, but the basket is mixed. You have products such as vegetables and fruits and meat to an extent that are increasing at softer pace, while vegetable oils and grain-related products are increasing at a faster pace to an extent that overall you might find food price inflation rising just at about 6% if we average it to a year, which is slightly softer pace than last year where food price inflation was rising at 6.5%.
Let's talk about the grain products. There are, of course, we know now the price for bread will also be affected. What about the availability of bread?
On that, we are blessed as a country, Isaac, to the extent that yes, we are net importers of wheat, importing roughly half, about 1.5 million tons on average a year. But if you look at what the South African millers and food companies have been able to import so far, they've managed to bring in just under 800,000 tons of wheat, or of the volume that we need. And in conversations with a number of them, it does appear to us that they've already have some plans in place to make sure that they receive good volumes over the coming months, to an extent that from an ag side, we believe that there won't be any shortages of wheat or any food products over the foreseeable future in South Africa. Of course, the price issue is another thing, but even there, we are quick to emphasize that we don't think prices will be increasing at a dramatic pace, as some perhaps maybe have suggested. But there will be increases baked in by the fuel story that I was referring to, but also the commodity itself as it has been rising in international markets. The key thing that the users of wheat and the other products are cognizant of is that while adjusting prices, they adjust those prices cognizant of how much can a consumer be able to take in or pay for a particular product. So it's a balancing act as you are making prices of various products.
That is Wandile Sislobo. He's an economist at Agbies. Wandile, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.